What's going on YouTube? It's me, Chasing Dopamine, and we're back with another Reddit video. I know, I said Sundays, this is Monday, but your girl can change her mind. Today we're diving into some family drama, so make sure to grab your tea, hit the like and subscribe button to never miss a video, and let's get into it. Am I the asshole for not going to my brother's wedding after a late invite? Right off the bat, I'm gonna say possibly, but we'll see. I, 27 male, have two stepbrothers, Justin, 30 male, and Evan, 27 male. Our parents have been married for 15 years. I was close to both throughout my teen years, however, Evan and I no longer speak since we were 22. This is entirely my fault as I slept with his recent ex-girlfriend. I fucked up and ruined our relationship, and he will likely never speak to me again. I deserve it. And I do not blame Evan at all. Justin and my stepmother also didn't speak to me for a couple of years. Evan doesn't want to see me, and so we haven't been in the same room since we were 22 either. How this works is basically Evan getting invited first to anything that Justin or our parents are planning, and I am invited if he can't make it. I know it's awkward and that I've caused the situation. I am just glad to see them at all, so it isn't my place to complain. Justin is getting married on Monday, and Evan is his best man. Justin and I haven't really talked about the wedding at all since I'm obviously not invited, and it would be awkward to do so. I booked a trip overseas during the time of his wedding to get away instead of being home, and sad to not be there. I didn't tell Justin or our parents because there was no need to bring it up. We all know I wasn't going to be there and why. On Friday night, Justin tried to call me, but I was asleep. Middle of the night where I am right now, I got his message in the morning asking me to call him and saying Evan has agreed that I could come to the wedding and that he really wants me there. If I was home, the wedding would be 45 minutes away, and I would go in a heartbeat. But I'm in Europe with a friend from college. I told Justin that unfortunately I can't make it because I'm away. Now he's mad at me for not telling him I was going away and for all the effort he spent in convincing Evan to let me come. But I never asked him to do that. And I would have told him not to because I don't think it's fair to Evan, who has set a boundary. I'm not trying to cause him more pain. Justin is mad at me and blocked me. One of our cousins said he's furious and said, like Evan, he's through with me. My dad called later and told me if it's about money, he'd buy my ticket home. But I explained it's not just about money, although a lot of the trip is unrefundable. If it was just me, I'd consider going home, but I'm traveling with a friend who didn't sign up to be in Europe for 10 days by himself. My cousins and my dad think I'm being an a-hole not coming to the wedding, but I think it's unfair when the wedding is in 2 days. I know that the situation exists because of my actions, but am I the a-hole for not coming back tomorrow to attend the wedding? Alright, let's get into that first comment before we have an opinion. Totally not the a-hole. And your family are all idiots. You slept with dude's ex 5 years ago and they're still mad, and now they're mad because you declined a late wedding invitation? That's just nuts. They had dated for 5 years and had been broken up for a month. He hadn't wanted the relationship to end. It was absolutely wrong of me, and I completely understand why he wants nothing to do with me. He was still in love with her, and I knew that because he was my older brother and my best friend. I messed up, and so I can't be defended for what I did 5 years ago. It was bad, it was wrong. If I could take it back, I would. I don't think Evan is overreacting by cutting me out of his life as much as I miss him and wish I could change it. So I can sympathize with the fact that you did something horrible, you were owning up to it, and everything like that. Your family is actually being pretty horrible with the fact that they won't let it go. They're not giving you the opportunity to redeem yourself because they're not even letting you be in the same room, let alone accepting your apologies when you obviously feel bad about this. But with that out of the way and not even a factor for me in this, even if, like, at the end of the day, you got invited, like, 2 days before the wedding, my guy. What did they think was gonna happen? You were gonna just jump up and be all on board 2 days before the wedding? He could have let you know prior to this that he was talking to Evan, and he didn't let you know. So it's not your fault that you decided to plan a vacation so you didn't have to sit home alone Well, your entire family is having a great time at this wedding. That is not on you. It is on them that they are choosing to be so unforgiving, which I understand. If your brother doesn't want to forgive you and he doesn't want to be in the same space as you, that is up to him. And yes, you can understand it all you want, but if the others in your family aren't willing to communicate, then it's not on you that you assume that you were not going to be invited when you've been shown that that is the case the whole rest of the time. So I really don't understand where they think that it's like okay to expect you to fly home from Europe, abandon your friend in a completely other country, just because 2 days before the wedding they decided that it was important enough to have you there and to not have a conversation with you about it beforehand. Why should you communicate with them that you're leaving when they don't communicate with you? It has to be a two-way street there, and they're not pulling their end of it. That's just my 2 cents. Am I the a-hole for asking my in-laws to cover dinner? At first glance, this one doesn't look too good, but we'll give you a shot, man. We'll give you a shot. Apologizing ahead of time for any formatting issues. I'm on mobile. Background. Last spring, we lost my mother-in-law to cancer. She fought for years. Mother-in-law was big on family gatherings, and we decided to uphold her tradition of weekly meetings so that way we all stay connected instead of drifting apart. Honestly, that sounds really nice, and I'm really glad that you guys could do that. Out of the 3 families, we have the most spacious accommodations, and it became the unspoken rule that we'd host this place. The only rule we set was everyone would take turns covering dinner. When we would get together, we'd either play games, board or video, watch movies, or occasionally go out and do an activity. As more time passed, it became just go to OP's house and have fun. Here's the issue. While it was initially agreed upon that everyone would take turns getting dinner, whether it be making it or buying out, it's become solely me and my dear husband doing it. I brought this up to him, and he said he talked to his brothers about it. It started off okay and just reverted back to us providing it. Last weekend, my husband went all out and made a huge breakfast buffet-style dinner. It was delicious and everyone enjoyed it. It wasn't until my sister-in-law's offhanded comment of, "Oh wow, I can't wait to see what you make us next week." Me and sister-in-law would be throwing hands. Not even gonna lie. This is the point where we would take it outside, away from any children, and we'd be throwing hands. Let's continue. I looked at my husband, and then at her, and I said, "Oh, I didn't realize we were feeding you all again." "Let's go! Let's go, babe! Stick up for yourself!" Sorry, y'all, I just severely have, I don't even want to say a hatred, because I don't really hate anybody, but a severe disliking of entitled people. And this is a good example of that. Of course, this made the room go silent. And my brother-in-law stated that they'd buy some frozen pizzas to cover our next get-together. Okay, buddy, do you also want to go outside and throw hands? Because these hands are rated E for everyone. And you can catch them. But I was fuming because it just solidified in my mind that they were expecting us to cover everything. They are. They very much are. After everyone left, my husband got a message from his brother stating I had been rude to his wife with my comment. These people just want to catch hands. That's the moral of this story. Everybody want to be catching my hands. My husband defended me and told him we've been feeding 3 families every time we get together, and it isn't cheap. So my comment, while snarky I admit, was justified. I'm just wondering if I was an asshole for saying anything at all. Honey, you are not the a-hole here. You are not the a-hole here. Like, me, brother and sister-in-law are all about to go outside, and I will teach them who is in the wrong here, because they are not going to be able to escape these hands. Okay, first comment before I like physically enter the screen to try and beat these people up. Not the a-hole, but the solution is simple. Stop posting. Yes, the get togethers allow for family time, but what is family if it's always at your expense? If they value it so much, they can either start paying money up front or host themselves. Otherwise, you're essentially paying them to socialize with you. F that. OP actually responds to this with, which pretty much sums up my convos with my husband. Thankfully, my other brother in law and his partner apologized for their lack of participation. And then somebody else comments, not the a-hole, neither is your husband unless he insists on continuing to host. Stop. Go out together and eat at a place agreed on in advance and don't let them take advantage of you. Don't pay for any more expensive restaurants than they do, or just split the bill according to what everyone ordered and pay your share always without exception. I think splitting the bill is the most correct way to handle this. Stop making more work for you by having to clean every time you host out. I think I already gave enough of my opinion on this one, but just in case. No, dear, you are not the a-hole. If they're willing to come to your house when you were spending all of the money on food, which feeding 3 families, even if it's just once a week, that gets to be expensive. Especially when you have nobody helping you cook, you have nobody helping you clean, and you have nobody helping you pay for the food. So if you have to spend all of your time, energy, effort, and money on this, I'm sorry, I would stop hosting. If everybody wants to get together, they can do it at a restaurant and everybody can pay for their own meals. Or somebody else can start hosting or start bringing food to your house. Because this is ridiculous. You should not be providing for 3 different families all just so they can have a dinner and get together for a night. Y'all can do that at a restaurant somewhere. There is no need to keep breaking your own back, breaking your own pocket. I would just completely stop putting your energy into it and suggest an alternative route, because obviously this is not working out. Am I the a-hole for going off on my sister-in-law for not paying me back and bragging about having my own place? I don't see how with the not paying me back part, but we'll see. I, 18 female, have a sister-in-law, 31 female, and a brother, 28 male. In 2022, they lost their home due to a wildfire. I was already helping them financially starting at the age of 16. You should not be supporting any adult at the age of 16, but go on. When they lost their home, I let them borrow $400 alone at this point, and also started a GoFundMe, which raised $5,000 for them to be able to get a place. They decided to blow that money on vacations and fast food while living in a hotel with 3 children. Dopamine's gonna keep her mouth shut. We'll wait to the end. I was at this point saving for a car, and my brother tried to gaslight me in saying if I cared for my niece and nephews, 13, 3, and 1, I would send them all my car funds, $3,000, so they could get a place for their kids. I told them no. Good for you. Good for you. I'm sorry. If you cared about your kids, you would have used the $5,000 that they raised for you the last time and got yourself a house. And got yourself a place to stay that wasn't a hotel. But you didn't, so why is your 18-year-old sister supposed to care? They got a camper and have been living in it since. They both refuse to work and bum off of other family. After I turned 18, I refused to send them any more money, and that's when they started treating me even more like garbage. You know, it's really funny with these people how they'll sit here and say, like, how much they don't need you, they don't need anybody, and they can do it all on their own, right? But then you stop giving them money. and suddenly they can't be nice to you anymore. They don't like you no more because you're no longer a cash cow. And that's really freaking sad that you have to learn that from your family at 18 years old. I am so sorry for you. I decided to calculate how much they owed me, and it was $600. But because earlier in 2023 I needed a new phone, they sent me a 2020 iPhone SE. I decided to subtract the price it was when it first came out. So they owed me $400. I told them they needed to pay me back. They argued, saying they only owed me $120 and refused to pay me back. Of course they did, babe. Of course they did. Because they're bums. Since I have been no contact with them, I have gotten my own apartment. My sister-in-law has sent a single dollar a day and will call me a whale each time. I'm 5'3" and 195 pounds. Oh, let me fight her. Oh, let me throw hands with her. Ugh. It got to the point I decided to brag about how I am 18 with my own place, and they are 28 and 31 without a place or a job. Go, girl, go. I work full-time as a daycare teacher. My sister-in-law argued it's hard to work with 3 kids, but I know there's people on here that would say otherwise. His sister-in-law called me an a-hole for demanding her to pay me back when she's homeless and jobless with 3 kids. So am I the a-hole? P.S. Brother refused to work because he's legally blind, but I am also legally blind and I work. His vision is -4 and -2.25. Or a -4.25. Y'all are going to realize I'm really bad at English sometimes, and I'm sorry. I'm not cutting this. I'm going to leave this part in because this is just going to show you what I deal with on a daily basis of getting tongue-tied. And mine is -3.5 and -3.75. Legally blind is anything under -2. So you're also legally blind, able to have a job, able to get your own place. And this is coming from somebody whose sister is legally blind. Like, there is no excuse for this level of lazy and this level of mooching. Because that's exactly what they're doing, is they are mooching off of you and the rest of your family. Actually, the brag was just the cherry on top, because she started a GoFundMe and raised $5,000 for them to get a new place to live. They chose to blow off that money by treating themselves to a vacation instead of investing in a new place. On top of that, even wanted OP to send their saved up car money to them, if she cared about their kids. I'm pretty sure she does if she helped raise $5,000 while they did nothing. So no, not the a-hole in the slightest bit. This next comment's from OP. They live in California. I saw places for rent for $1,500 a month, deposit of $1,000. They had no excuse. That's half of what was saved, $2,500 for other bills, food, and everything. But they blew it off. Somebody else goes, they went on a vacation instead of securing housing for their 3 kids. You helped them and they treated you poorly. It might be time to go low contact with them. Focus on yourself. You know your brother won't be able to bail you out if needed, so you need to save up your money. Car and emergency fund ASAP, not the a-hole. Yeah, there's zero world in which you are the a-hole here. I'm sorry. Not only do they owe you money, but they are being very petty in the way that they're trying to give it back to you. And I don't care who you are, what situation you are in. If you owe somebody a significant amount of money and they're asking you, hey, I need you to pay this back, it's time to pay it back. Especially when it's from family, let alone somebody that, when you were borrowing money from them initially, was underage. And you're taking advantage of them. Like, for me, it's the audacity of some people to feel entitled to other people's money and to feel like everybody owes them something. I know a lot of people like this in my real life, where it's just like they feel like everybody owes them something, or everybody specifically in their family owes them something. And I just don't get it. I don't I don't get it, man. I feel bad asking for like even the slightest bit of help from anybody, let alone family, and these people are out here just begging, just being old beggars. I don't understand. All right, guys, let's get into this last story. Am I the a-hole for waking up my son after his stepdad told me not to? Off the bat, I already have mixed emotions, but we'll give homeboy a chance. I have an 8-year-old son named Dylan, and I share custody with my ex Danielle. Danielle is married to Chris, and I'm married to Christine. Y'all, I really hope these are fake names, and y'all didn't really just get married to Chris and Christine. Come on. Christine and I took a week vacation this week. Dylan didn't go because he had school and was with his mom. But he has spring break next week, and I'm taking him and my older son, Dylan's half brother, to Palm Springs. Dylan is very attached to me and Christine and my older son. We did FaceTime with him, and he'd cry saying that he missed us. We came back last night and asked Danielle if it was cool if we came by to see Dylan, even though we were picking him up tomorrow. Unfortunately, we didn't get there till 11 p.m., but it was fine because Danielle and I always have things to discuss. Dylan was asleep. We were getting ready to go, and Danielle said she was going to take a bath and we could see ourselves out. I took some of Dylan's stuff outside and then came back into the house. Chris looked at me like, "Why am I back?" And I casually mentioned that I was going to say hi to Dylan. Bro, do you realize that if you got there at 11, it must be close to midnight at this point? Homie probably has school tomorrow. Why would you want to wake him up? Chris said Dylan was dead asleep. I said I'm sure he is, but he probably will be upset if me and my wife left without seeing him. Yeah, he's probably also going to be upset when he has to get up for school tomorrow after not getting enough sleep. Then it got weird. He said, "Hey man, can you just not wake him up?" I was like, "What?" He said it's a hassle to get Dylan to go back to sleep, and he wanted to go to sleep himself. I said I was going to put him back to sleep anyways. He started complaining that it took him an hour just to get Dylan to go to sleep. He even took him in the shower, melatonin, and gave his noise machine to play. I said, "You're not going to tell me I can't say bye to my kid, but like I said, I'll make sure he goes back to sleep." Talking about 15 minutes. He was pretty mad. Dylan didn't even wake up, so I left him a Godzilla plush toy that my wife got him while we were on vacation. Now there's clear tension between me and Chris. Bro, you don't have to deal with the fallout when you leave. Like, you get to wake the kid up and you get to leave. And the stepdad and the mom are going to be the ones that have to deal with the fact that that kid is now awake. And even if you put him back to sleep, again, you just woke a kid up in the middle of the night when they have school the next day. What is the point of that? You are going to be messing up his sleep schedule, and he does not need you to be doing that. Also, you're going to be running into the issue if he had woken up of, "Oh, but I want to go with you now. I don't want to wait." And he's going to throw an entire tantrum. That tantrum is going to lead to the stepfather and the mother being the ones that have to deal with this, and that is just not fair to them. I know he's your kid, but you're the a-hole. Even taking Chris out of this, why would you wake an 8-year-old after 11 p.m. on a school night? Especially as you were picking him up the next day. This honestly sounds like a power play on your part. Completely unnecessary. And OP would have had to deal with the fallout. And OP wouldn't have had to deal with the fallout of trying to get Dylan to go back to sleep had he been able to wake him up. You're the a-hole. Or waking him up for school after a rough night. Or dealing with the, "But why can't I just go home with you now? You're here now. I don't want to wait till tomorrow" tantrum that absolutely would have followed. See, this is what I am saying. Like, they wouldn't have had to deal with the fallout. They wouldn't have had to deal with any of it. Like, buddy, it might be your son, but you're not the one at the moment that is going to have to deal with all of that. Like, seriously. This all sounds very manipulative, and I'm sorry, like the little bits of you just throwing around, oh, he's very attached to me and my wife. To me, it very much looks like you're trying to make a point here of, look how attached he is to me. Look at how much he wouldn't want me to leave without saying goodbye. Would he react like this to you? No, he only reacts like this when I come into a room, right? It it's all very I don't like it. I don't like the vibes you're giving off, and honestly, I think you need to reevaluate at least this aspect of your parenting, because if your son's this attached to you, you're obviously doing something right because he loves you this much. But at the same time, you also have to respect the other people that you are co-parenting with, and that involves the stepdad. And if he asks you, hey, it took me an hour to get this kid to sleep, please do not wake him up because he has school tomorrow. Do not wake the kid up. Respect the stepfather like you would respect his stepmother that you were with. Because I'm guarantee if she said the same thing and this was reverse, you would also be very upset if this boy was at your house and you had to deal with this the next day. So I would just take that into consideration the next time that you want to sit there and try and pull the, well, it's my kid card. It might be your kid, but you don't have to deal with the fallout. Alright, guys, that about does it for today. If you had a good time, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below to let me know what you thought about some of these stories. Alright, have a good one. We'll see you later. Bye!